Yeah. Got two more questions. So where do you see the mortgage and the credit industry in the future? How do you see it changing?
Uh, I think both are going to get to a point. So you're seeing now that, from mortgage perspective, they're looking at alternative or even credit. Alternative credit is going to become a big thing. Right now, you have about 3.1 million thin file millennials that are technically qualified, but they don't have enough credit history, enough credit data to make significant purchases. So, how do you address those users when they're not? Our outlook on debt and credit is not the same as our parents was. For parents, everything was about credit. For us, you're seeing outside of student loans, and probably because of student loans, a lot of millennials and especially Generation Z now too is trying to avoid credit debt altogether.
Yeah.
So you have to look at ways outside of that to still allow them to build their credit history. So I think you're going to see a lot more alternative credit options. And when I say alternative credits, things like utilizing your utility bill, your rent. There's even some that will be able to utilize like Netflix payments, stuff like that, as a method
Experian is that
to
Experian boost. Yeah.
exactly to be able to show that you do have credit history. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that, both in the mortgage space and the credit space in general, because again, you're dealing with a generation that does not look at credit the same as our older generation, the baby boomers did.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I use an app. I've been using an app called, I think it's called Kickoff, where it's really a savings account, but they make positive hits on my credit report, and I'm building credit like that. So
Yep.
that's basically alternative credit, right?
That's
That's like an example of it. Yeah.
There's a lot of apps that are coming out like that, but I think we'll see that. And again, I think also you're seeing the rise of neobanks, where millennials are moving away from your traditional banking options and going towards your neobanks. And so, payment platforms like Square, Chime, Cash App, people aren't even creating bank accounts; they're just utilizing those as their bank accounts. So
yeah, you could have got your PPE check through Square, I believe. Your PPE check, yeah.
Exactly. So how do you think about addressing those markets, those unserved markets? Is definitely going to be. Well, I know it's already at the top of a lot of executives' minds. So
yeah, and I know a lot of people in crypto who try to use their assets to buy houses, and that's been also hard too. And I think it largely is just because of the volatility in Bitcoin. 1 minute, it's up crazy, and the next minute it drops 80%.
Yeah, no, I think that's why I've been very adamant about blockchain, because I think one part that we don't talk about as much is the data empowerment aspect, where more consumers are going to be willing to want to control their own data, and who has access to that data. Like, so right now, if you put in a credit application and you're not qualified, that lender can basically take that information and put it to whoever they want to on the secondary market, and allow them to do as many hard credit pulls as they want. And you typically see that, especially when you try to buy a car. Like, you'll see that the credit score has been hit 7 times because they're trying to get you underwritten. Whereas with products like blockchain, it gives the consumer greater control over who can initiate that hard credit pull, and even more importantly, who has your access to your data, what they're doing with that data. And I think that you're going to see more borrowers that want to see that want to know that. It's oftentimes, you have a mortgage and your mortgage gets sold to someone and you don't even know that it's been sold. So I think we're going to see more issues like that, where consumers are going, and that's really why I believe in blockchain, or the use of blockchain in the financial capacity is again around the transparency that it creates for the consumer, more so than everything else is really our focus there.
Yeah, and like decentralized finance is taking off, and for people who don't know what decentralized finance is, it's basically the idea of going through a set of people who are using a particular blockchain like Bitcoin to actually get a loan, versus going through a central entity like a bank or whatever to get approved for a loan. And I can definitely see how, as that explodes more and more, like even Coinbase is changing their strategy to be more focused on decentralized finance. So I can definitely see, and I actually saw that they said that most of your new millionaires and even billionaires are going to come from crypto within the next like 10 years, right? And so how are they going to be able to buy these high value stuff, right? Well, they're going to want to use their crypto as credit, which is like one of my strategies too. Like, I want to get a bunch of crypto and just literally just live off the credit, like how a lot of wealthy people do, and not even have to sell my asset, right? Just keep it, hold it, and then probably live off 5%, get a loan against 5 or 10% or something like that, right? So
No, for sure, for sure. I think we're in the wild, wild west right now, but I think the world
right,
is changing quickly.
right. There